usually start with a joke, but we're trying to determine whether or not humor is appropriate in business. Insert laugh track here.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's Digital Download. Today, we are going to pose the question, is humour acceptable in business? Is it effective? Is it appropriate? Could being funny damage your reputation? When is humour okay and when is it not okay? What are the risks involved and the potential upsides? But before we delve into that, what is humour? Because we all laugh at different things. There's physical humour, there's sarcasm, there's irony, there's pathos, there's intellectual humour, there's puns. Is it all okay? Is it all not okay? Is some stuff okay? Is some stuff not okay? How do we know when something is funny or not? How do we know whether or not it's going to work? As Tim will attest, my jokes do not travel well. When we've been abroad and I've tried to insert humour into a training session we've been doing, I might as well have been speaking into the abyss for all of the laughter. But also with humour, particularly with kind of stand-up comedy, bad language is often very closely intertwined with humour. Now, I am a swearer. I'm not offended by any swear words. There's very little that you can say that might offend me. But in a business context, actually, I feel quite differently. Not to a friendly audience, an internal call. Yeah, swear if you want to, because you're amongst friends. But one of the things that I always find really shocking is if I go to a business conference and somebody is on the stage in that position of power and they swear, I find that really quite shocking in many cases. So do we think that that's okay? Gary Vee, the darling of entrepreneurship and more recently personal development, it seems that he can't construct a sentence without having the F word in it. So is that okay? And if it is okay when you're doing a video, is it okay in stuff that you write, or is it not? And should you try to be funny? Because, we all see posts on all of our social networks where people have gone, oh, yeah, this is really funny. And they post something and you watch it and you go, no, it's not. There's nothing funny about that. But also you see stuff where people post things and it's the humor in it has completely passed them by and they've missed a golden opportunity. So is humor acceptable in business and when? Laugh at your problems. Everyone else. That is very true. Very well. I mean, again, you say that, Mark, but I remember reading something some time ago when physical humor in the days of the black and white movies, and you would see somebody fall off a ladder, and you'd go, "Oh, that's not funny," but they fall into a vat of tar, and they get out and they're covered in tar, and it is funny because they're unhurt. But for them, it may not be funny because they might have ruined their only decent set of clothes by falling into the tar. So actually, it does depend on perspective. Sorry?
Like Home Alone funny.
Yes, exactly. So,
or think about silent movies, right? Because if, they had to use physical comedy and over-the-top expression, right? Because there's no words. So, that's, I think that's relevant, but...
I think it definitely is. So in a business context, is funny okay?
Funny's okay, but it's a risk, right? Because if you don't have a good sense of humor and you also, don't know how to kind of navigate social norms, right? So some people, might be okay with, a lot of vulgarity in the comedy. Other people might be offended by that. So, I might try something funny, but I probably won't be vulgar.
Well, I'm going to try something funny now. Just saying, Fernando here, I suggest you send him a quote as soon as we're done here because he said he wants to do business with you.
That's funny. No.
Do you think? No. You see, it didn't travel well, that one, did it? Didn't travel well at all.
I think it's like the consultant stock answer, which is it depends. So it depends on a number of factors as to whether actually you can use humour and whether it's going to work in a certain situation. So I think
it's turning into a dad joke session on the chat as well. Sorry, Will.
No problem.
Yeah. Do you know what the secret to comedy is? Timing.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. As you so rightly said.
Is there a power
Sorry.
dynamic to humor in business?
Is there what? Sorry.
Everything my boss says is funny, but maybe I couldn't get away with saying the exact same thing. Is that a power structure?
Yeah, I think we're all minded to laugh at our boss's jokes, aren't we? Because we know that he'll be laughing when he doesn't, or she'll be laughing when they don't promote us.
Again, I mean, I think it's very much around context. It's who you're talking to, in what situation, how many people happen to be in the room, the length of time that perhaps you've known those people, will all be a kind of construct around how comfortable you feel using humor and perhaps how it's then going to land with people. And of course, there might be things that in a group 4 or 5 people find funny, but perhaps that one person doesn't find funny. Does that mean that you should use it? Especially now in a time where a lot of organizations are talking, and we've talked on this show quite a few times about it, around psychological safety. So if we want teams to be effective, it's great to use humor because it can lighten the mood. But if you've got a kind of minority who aren't finding it funny or could potentially be at the end of those jokes, how is that going to make them feel? How, as a group, is that going to allow them to work together?
Yeah.
And I think there's that piece of it. And then there's also kind of the individual, do you find yourself to be funny? Because I think there are people who, like, for whatever reason, growing up as kids were like joke tellers and the class clown and things like that. And then that's kind of, Leah's actually sharing it too, humor can be a defense mechanism. That's usually built as a defense mechanism, but then it also becomes part of your personality, right? There's just, you're the funny person in the room. And so I think there's a difference between if you're a funny person and you use humor, like a comedian would use humor as part of their job, versus somebody who's an entrepreneur or a business person or just on social media trying to use hanger. I'm hungry. That's why trying to use humor because they're supposed to use humor. See, I made Lenwood laugh.
Yeah, so this isn't this isn't a humorous point, and you're absolutely right, Leah. So would you come on the call in a few weeks' time as a guest to help even up the numbers, please? It would be lovely to have you join us.
Yeah. So on the flip side, I think there are some people that are naturally more stern. I won't say angry, but they're not humorous naturally. And I wouldn't say I use humor as a defense mechanism, but certainly I'd say I'm more humorous than stern, as it were. But when I'm chatting to someone that's more humorous, I feel like it's a more comfortable, natural conversation.
Yeah, it can be a powerful icebreaker, can't it? But a lot of these kind of these conversations, I think, we all know the power of humor in an interaction one-to-one with people, or even in a group session. But is it okay to do it on a social network like LinkedIn? And how do you know if it's worked or not?
After all, it's not Facebook, is it?
No humor on LinkedIn.
that was nice and ironic. That was, Tim.
Do you know, today was the first time I've used the term TikTok in any blog, for the reason that it actually scares people on LinkedIn when you say TikTok.
Well, if you say anything like that, it's going to scare them, Tim.
Albuquerque.
Down with the kids, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really do believe there's something.
that Rob's made, and he's made a couple because he's referred back to Ken Robinson. So Ken Robinson, and if you haven't seen his TED Talks, they're really worth it because it's all about learning and education and everything. And Ken was originally Liverpudlian, so you know, in the UK, Liverpudlians usually are well known for a sense of humour, and he uses that in a very self-deprecating way, and it's really effective in terms of the way that he comes across. However, there are certain cultures that if you are kind of separate, self-deprecating or kind of lower yourself, that can be kind of damaging in terms of then how you perceived if you're kind of talking yourself down and you're using humor in that way. So again, I think it comes back very much to kind of context and the situation that you're in and the people that you're with as to, you know, is that humor going to translate into their perception? Is it the same as your perception?
Yeah. In fact, a friend of mine once referred to himself. He wrote that he had a self-defecating sense of humour, which I don't think is precisely what he meant, but it had exactly that effect on the audience. Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, that could lead on to so many, many other lines.
So I think this is quite interesting because I saw this. I did a search in preparation for this. I did a search on, you know, kind of like what you might consider to be funny hashtags on LinkedIn, and this came up, which I thought was okay. So Lenwood, you're laughing. It's a really funny image, yeah. And if this were the image that you had shared, you know, you have a whole catalogue of funny things that you could, and the person that posted it completely missed the idea that this was the opportunity to share something funny, and they saw this simply as an opportunity to talk about the fact that somebody had to lock up their flip-flops.
Thongs.
Indeed, thongs. Yes.
When Adam and I were in Australia, we were invited to a thongs party.
Now that would have been funny.
Evidence of that.
It was. It didn't translate well, and we didn't stay long. Let me put it that way.
You pack your budgie smugglers, but not the thongs.
Yeah. A whole world of opportunities.
You'll never get that image out of your head, will you?
Nobody needed to see that. Nobody needed to see that. But I do think that it's really interesting that that, you know, we are all as a group up for it. You know, we're prepared to say funny things. We're prepared to get some laughs. We're prepared to be the brunt of some of the laughs as well. The audience are all cracking jokes, you know, hand over fist. They're coming in, you know, funny comments.
Brilliant. Yeah, the engagement is amazing.
Yeah, and what's lovely is that everybody is trying to raise the bar. You know, I'm going to do some foot assurance. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying. Everyone's trying to raise the bar to say something funnier than the last person, to reference other things that people have said. But actually, this is not the norm, is it? You know, when you look out across the social networks that we're on, particularly LinkedIn, humor that's funny is quite a rare thing. You know, normally it's very dry, very boring. It gets no interaction, and you know, humor can be a whole host of different and wonderful things. So here's something else that I found. Now this is boy humor, and I say boy humor because my wife didn't find this funny at all. So this is Can I make that bigger? How's that? Yeah, so this is a bunch of guys standing in a row, each one with an elastic band around their leg, and each one has got a rubber chicken in their mouth. So every time they laugh, obviously, or they explain because it hurts. Now, obviously, yeah. Now, obviously, from a business context, that has zero value. I mean, nobody's going to watch that and go, "Oh, yes, that's the accountancy practice that I should be doing business with." No, but
Well, those are the rubber chickens I want to buy.
Yeah. But joking aside, the thing is that you would see that, and you would see the person that had posted that, and you would say quite the reverse, wouldn't you? You would say, that's exactly the kind of person that I would want to do business with, because I know that working with that person would be fun. So what do we think about that sort of humor? What do we think about that sort of slapstick, stupid humor?
I think you bring up something interesting, Adam, in the humor because it has business value and humor because it has human value. Right? There's like the opportunity to have a real. Oh no! Oh no! What's happening in the chat?
We have much different visions of funny. Let me just say that.
But I think this is the point, right? Because when we're on LinkedIn, a lot of times our intention is related to business value. And then so if you look at humor and say, like, what's the business value in humor? It's a different conversation than saying, what's the human connection value in humor?
Exactly. And it wasn't as simple as the dots that you connected, Adam. It wasn't, well, I see no business value in this, but this is somebody I want to do business with. The dots don't go that straightforward. This is somebody I want to connect with. And then you connect with them and you exchange information and you build that relationship. And then, oh, yeah, this is somebody I would even want to do business with. And that's, I think, where part of the challenge is. If I post something humorous, what's the ROI? And that's, it's just not there.
I don't know. You say that, but humor in all of its different forms. Now, granted, a bunch of guys flicking each other's legs with rubber bands whilst blowing on rubber chickens actually arguably doesn't have a positive or very much of an ROI, but
not directly anyway.
Yeah, but this might have. So this is an AI created, and you may well have seen this. This is an AI created series of posts or series of images, and this company do a lot of this sort of thing, where they've taken famous people and they've deliberately played to the weaknesses or the phobias of those people, or put them in situations where they're kind of making them the brunt of the joke. Now, obviously, those people as individuals can handle it because they're big enough and successful enough to be able to cope with that sort of thing.
I don't know if Trump can handle it.
No, arguably not. He's certainly not having a good week at the moment, is he? But that's had 3,700 likes as a post, and they have this company do a huge number of these posts, and all of them are in a similar kind of vein. They're quite eye-catching things. They're quite entertaining things. You could argue that they were humor. Now, the ROI of that is that it's had 1 million views. So if you've got your designers or creatives to pull something like that together, that'll outperform any advert, won't it?
Yeah, but it requires, right, a sense of humor, right? Because they obviously, those people weren't in those circumstances. So when the AI created the juxtaposition, right, for the camp, they had to make a determination about whether that was the right kind of image that would evoke something funny, to the audience, right? So there is this idea of a sense of humor. Some people just don't have a sense of humor. For whatever reason. I mean, I can't explain the contours of how humor works, you know, but some people just don't have it, or they don't know what's appropriate in the circumstance. They can't read the room, can't sense. And we've all been in a situation, I'm sure, where we thought that moment was the right time for something funny, and it maybe wasn't quite. So we were left standing there, like, you know, with total silence, or
The tumbleweed.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've
Mark,
certainly been there many times.
I think we just should say Mark is absolutely on fire here, isn't he? You know, there's just a constant string of these. But the one that's playing on my mind is this from Mikhail. Humor is like a screwdriver. In the comments, we haven't had the punchline to this one yet, so I'm quite looking forward to that when it arrives.
Can I share my piece of content?
Please.
Yeah. So, so this is from Daniel Creasy at Panasonic. What he's done is that he's employed a virtual PA, and he asked the virtual PA to come up with a set of PowerPoints to convince his boss that he should spend all his day creating TikToks rather than being a marketing person. And so the virtual PA actually decided to write a letter instead to his boss. And this is posted on LinkedIn. The link to it is in Adam Gray's LinkedIn. So it says, Daniel and I consider this a breach of rights as a content creator, and as such, will be issuing you with a verbal warning where I will require you to reply to this letter with a phone number so I can verbally warn you, or else I will look weak and ineffective. So please reply as soon as possible. And Daniel tags his boss.
But the best thing here is the boss's reply, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the boss's reply is, Dear Michael, thank you for your letter. It's worth highlighting that I don't prohibit Daniel Creasy from using TikTok. I just suggest that he considered the balance. I then rewarded him with a certificate when he completed some actual work. You and I share some common ground that I have operated as a sort of PA to Daniel for many years, and it's my belief that Daniel occasionally prioritizes actual work over his preparation of new TikToks, also in the best interests of his PA. Regards, Craig.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely when that sort of thing happens, isn't it? When people kind of they get with the spirit of it, and you know, his boss is joining in as well. Yeah, it is interesting though, isn't it? Because that you found last week, Tim, is a great example of humor being used in a really sophisticated, effective way, but we don't see it very often. What you see normally, if you search on the hashtag humor or funny post or funny video, or whatever, what you see is a whole load of people that are trying to be funny rather than people that are actually being funny. And 9 times out of 10, they're completely missing the mark.
Real humor is hard.
I was gonna say, like, what is the mark, right? Because I feel like if everybody interprets different funny things.
Tim, you need to write a blog on that.
I'll give you a quick story. I was once tasked with going to a meeting and writing up the meeting minutes for the whole department so that the whole department did not have to attend this meeting. It was one of those eye roll meetings. You spend an hour and a half in a room with 40 other people, and nothing really comes out of it. So
AI does that now.
Yeah, exactly. I was low man on the totem pole, and I was sent to just take the notes. Go represent us and let us know what came back. I had done that for a couple of weeks in a row, and of course, nobody was reading the notes. I knew this because when we met as a team, questions would come up regarding something that was covered in the notes. So the next time I went there, I came back, wrote up my notes to the theme of Gilligan's Island. Everyone read that memo. That's the only memo I can ever remember writing. But when you're able to pull off humor like that, it makes an impression and it makes an impact. That was the hardest memo I ever wrote. Humor is not easy.
And it's all to do with timing. So you've seen some comments from Mike Stoner. I know Mike. I've worked with him for about 12 years. Originally a translator, now a coach. And Mike would be brilliant when he was doing translation because he would always inject some humor into that. And especially in a kind of afternoon session where there was a lot of talk and you were needing translation. Mike would always add a couple of things in which would keep people on their toes and keep them awake. So I think again it is very much that kind of timing part, and as you say, Rob, joining that and making it memorable for people in the right way.
That's got to be one of the hardest jobs to inject humor credibly, right? Because if you
Mike was an expert at it.
You've injected humor when you're translating, and it's not actually what that person was saying.
You have to be very careful. And Mike always had the kind of the right level with that.
Yeah.
Still does have the right level with it.
Nice.
So, has anyone else got a bit of funny content they'd like to share that we can debate and see what the audience think about it?
I got some more if you want it.
Sure.
By all means.
So this is Andrew Jenkins asked Chat GPT. For you old people out there, that's artificial intelligence. And he asked ChatGPT to write a social media strategy using a Millennium Gen Z slang.
Huh.
So I read it out to you. Yo, what's up, my peeps?
Have you got a baseball cap that you can put on backwards?
Gen Z crowd, then listen up. First things first, you must create some lit content that will get you followers hyped. Make sure your content is fleek and uses some fast slang that will resonate with your audience.
I really like that.
In that parlance, Tim, that was sick.
It's dope, isn't it? It's dope.
Although, Will, they don't use sick anymore.
Oh, well,
Yeah, that will date you.
Yeah. Gents, what is it?
Oh, I don't know. You're gonna probably have to ask Jude. It seems like I don't use the correct terminology.
You're way too old, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like peeps is in my vocabulary.
That reminds me of a time when I tried to lighten the moment with an executive vice president that I used to report to. I've told stories about her many times, but she was asking me to do something that was very challenging, and it was going to take me a long time. So she's asking me to do it, and I said to her, "That's going to take me a minute." And she said, "Oh, that's great. I'll have it later today." And I said, "In this context, a minute means a long time." She didn't think it was funny.
Yeah, I'm struggling to keep up with the number of comments that we're getting to this particular show. It's like I was going to say machine gun, but actually I don't mean that. I mean, it's just happening really rapid fire.
Yeah, great comments and a lot of funny people out there.
But I think that there are a whole host of kind of funny things that often we don't see the opportunity of recycling. So all of you, I'm sure, will have seen this one before. So this cropped up in my timeline fairly recently.
Always goes around, isn't it?
Yeah, which is a great response from Cadbury to somebody that wrote a job application letter saying that they were a secret service agent and they included some money in it, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know, if you give me the job, I'll see that you're all right. And it's just, it's funny that they didn't just bin his application. They saw it for what it was and decided to have a bit of fun with their response to that.
I brought something to share.
What have you got, Rob?
Not funny in its outright, but let's see. I thought it was appropriate given the content that we were going to talk about today. Matthew McGuire asks, is telling a joke during an interview a good idea? Now, myself, I never even would have considered doing such a thing because, as we were saying, there's a timing to the humor as well. And in an interview, I don't even know that self-depreciating humor is the right tack to take. But I did want to share some of the comments. I found the comments pretty interesting. A recruiter asks a candidate, why did you leave your last job? The applicant replies, it was something my boss said. What did your boss say? They asked. You're fired.
That's a good one.
And the other one, tell us a little bit of something about yourself. The candidate says, I'd rather not. I really want this job.
Well, there's that lovely meme as well, isn't there, of the guy that's sitting in an interview and the interviewer says to him, so what do you think is your greatest weakness? And he says, my honesty. To which the interviewer says, I don't think honesty is a weakness. And the guy says, I don't give a crap what you think.
I see Mark's thinking of getting into the photography business because there's been a lot of new developments there.
Yeah, Mark should do stand-up, really, shouldn't he? Because he just has an endless stream of these. Go on, gents, you had some stuff to bring. Was it you, Jensen, or you, Jordan, that had some stuff?
I've got some stuff that I can share, for sure.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because you definitely have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think so. But
you haven't seen some of Jordan's, right? Jordan's videos. They are, oh man, yesterday I was watching one. Oh my goodness, that just had me. I was like grabbing my stomach. It was so funny. I can't remember. Anyway, you've got the hair and you're doing the video.
Welcome to the funnel.
That's right. Welcome to the funnel. Oh my goodness, that was brilliant. Oh, it was so funny, folks. You got to see these videos.
Yeah. Go to Jordan Abbott's profile.
Yeah, check out Jordan Abbott's profile. Absolute brilliance. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I've got is sort of on a similar track to that. Sort of trying to take something in there that's nothing to do with business and then create a sort of business narrative to it. So if I share my screen.
Okay.
Sound coming through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, we can't hear your sound.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to have the.
We can read the
How
subtitles.
about now?
No, you'll have to do a voiceover for it.
Could I put it in?
I'll tell a quick story while you're working on that.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so when I was in college, oh boy, I'm dating myself. Oops. Okay, anyway, Bill Clinton was president, and he was coming to the campus, and they had some students acting as part of the advanced team. We were all doing different things, and we were in a hotel suite, a group of us. working to get things ready. And a Secret Service agent comes in and said, I can't recall what Clinton's his name was, but he was calling, let us know, he's going to be here pretty soon. Let's make sure that we get, it's a very tense moment, right? Because the president of the United States is coming. We're going to be working this situation. And he says he's going to be here pretty soon. So we got to get ready. And, I could feel the tension in the room. And I said, we've mapped a route past McDonald's. Dry humor. The Secret Service agent comes back with, he likes Pizza Hut too. So it really was, so anyway, that's a serious situation where a little bit of humor helps people to relax and, get the job done. Okay,
So
Jordan.
I think I've got it working.
And that you come back. We were on the home stretch of putting a deal together, but I haven't heard from you for weeks. Are you ghosting me?
Did I not clearly explain the circle of trust to you, Greg?
My name's Ollie, it's not Greg. And you said that you were reviewing the contracts, but initially everything looked good, and I was officially inside the circle. And that you'd come back to me 100% the next day just to confirm. That was 4 weeks ago.
Then is there something you want to tell me?
Well, we agreed that EBSTO identified the challenges that you're experiencing regarding identifying risk in your pipeline and gets you to your desired future state.
Didn't we have a discussion yesterday in the car about this?
Yes, we spoke while you were driving, but again, that was 4 weeks ago.
See, if I can't trust you, Greg...
Ollie, my name is Ollie.
Then I have no choice but to put you right back outside the circle. And once you're out, you're out.
You can trust me. I want to be in the circle. I love the circle.
There's no coming back.
So are you saying the deal's dead then?
Well, then tell me the truth.
Look, the truth is, I committed this deal off the strength of our previous conversations. And my sales manager, she is fully expecting this deal to come across the line this week. But she actually has no idea that you and I haven't engaged in any way, shape or form over the last month. So come on, how about you stop ghosting me and just let me know either way whether this is going to be a goer or not.
All right, now look, Fokker.
Fokker?
I'm a patient man. That's what 19 months in a Vietnamese prison camp will do to you. But I will be watching you, studying your every move.
That's fine. That's not a problem at all. So are you going to respond?
If I find that you are trying to corrupt my firstborn child...
Firstborn child?
I will bring you down, baby. I will bring you down to Chinatown.
Right. I look forward to your response.
Very good.
Nice.
Yeah. And I just to go back to your comment, Lenwood, about trying to break the ice and bring people's sort of guard down. I try to, with as many connection requests as I can, to include a joke that's about their business, because I think, one, it sort of brings a smile on people's face, and two, to be able to actually be funny, you have to have a fairly good understanding of what it is this other person does. So you're sort of, it's a two-pronged approach. It's sharing that you understand their business, but also you can bring light to it, right?
I try to do the same thing, a joke about their lousy profile, but it doesn't work.
Yes, I'm sending you this connection request because I haven't looked at your profile yet. Because if I had, I wouldn't be sending it.
What do you call the opposite of self-depreciating humor?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is a minefield, though, this, isn't it? It is a minefield because it's if you share something that is funny, you tend to polarize your audience, don't you? Because some people look at it and they go, I don't get it, or I don't think it's funny, or I find it offensive. And other people love you for it. So how do you divine that marketplace? How do you do stuff which is funny but safe?
I don't think that's the right approach. I think that the right approach is to be, I hate to say that, I mean, gets overused, but just be authentically you. Just be yourself. Because what brings it to mind is someone who was, it was actually some advice about pitching venture capitalists. Okay, and what they said was, when you're pitching venture capitalists, you're looking for people who get it, right? Because it's the people who get it that are the ones that you want to come with you. They're going to support you. They're going to do what needs to be done to make the venture a success. So you're out there with your message, and you're looking for the people who get it. And the people who don't get it are sort of self-selecting out. They're doing you a favor, right? So I think it's kind of the same thing with humor to a certain extent, right? If you're always making, jokes that are, really maybe this, I don't know. If you're always making offensive jokes, you might be left with a very small circle of people who get it. So you got to think about that.
But I think you're also operating often within a structure where people are not comforted by humor. So I used to tell a joke, and I still do from time to time, this particular joke, and it's about the importance of being better than everyone else. And it's the two explorers, and they're hacking their way through the jungle, and they come to a clearing, and there in the clearing is a tiger. And one of them starts to back out of the clearing, and the other bends down and puts his running shoes on. And the first one says, "You're not going to be able to outrun a tiger." The second one says, "I don't have to. I just have to outrun you." And that's a joke that was written originally by Billy Connolly. And so I did this at a corporate event, and my boss's boss saw somebody had tweeted this, that it was a Billy Connolly joke, who is famous for telling rude jokes. He heard it was this, and he was like, "Seriously, a Billy Connolly joke?" Now, so this was quite a conservative company, obviously, but he was terrified that I might have said something that was inappropriate. So how do you do that? How do you balance the kind of, you have to be out there on the edge because safe humor isn't funny, but how do you balance it in such a way that it's not unacceptable to your organization?
I guess you've got to make a decision. It comes back to what Lenwood was saying about what, where you want to go with it and who your kind of target market is. I mean, in the UK, we all know about French Connection UK.
Yes,
so indeed. French Connection UK came out with they changed kind of marketing companies, I don't know, 20 years ago. And so they then started to brand their material FC UK. So it's a joke, and some people don't really love that and went out and bought it because it was a badge of honor. And maybe some of the people who previously wore their garments, stopped wearing them because it didn't align with what they thought was funny. But it caused a big stir, and I think most people found it, humorous and it helped them.
Well, I think there's someone had a comment. Oh yeah, Mark here, about reading the audience, right? I think there's a perspective, and maybe this is a thing that actually can happen more easily on social media because we don't get an audience until it exists. And so like in a conversation with another person, even in an interview or in a conversation like this, or if you're on a stage, there's the ability to read the room, but there isn't the ability to read the room in advance when it comes to social media. So I would say that adds a level of risk that, again, it has to be in alignment with your personal brand, like Lenwood said. If that's something you would do, then that's great. I actually I don't even know if I have ever used humor in a post, or at least intentionally. I might have just said something that is something that I believed. But I think in conversation, I do it quite often. So it's kind of just the how would you do it? Would you do this? Would you not? Decide.
Yeah, and maybe it is about being a rebel. Maybe it is about, not caring what the organization thinks is appropriate, if you think it's appropriate and you're prepared to stand by what it is that you do. Because actually, you know, all of the successful comedians, all of the truly successful organizations in business are ones that challenge the status quo, aren't they? And I don't mean a bunch of long-haired people that play rock and roll by status quo. I mean, you know, but they do. That, you know, they're trying to make, as Steve Jobs would say, a dent in the universe, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just looking back at was it Oliver's comment?
I think that was the ironic one. That one.
Right.
Yeah. It is, and it has no place on LinkedIn, which is a business network.
Yeah, it's not Facebook.
Enjoyment has no place on this network. Just like these LinkedIn Lives, they're supposed to be business focused. People shouldn't be smiling. You know, this is about business.
We should be sort of like whipping ourselves and.
Well, I have a brochure somewhere. Would that help?
Yeah, read it out, Rob. Read it out. We'd love to hear about your brochure. Yeah.
I normally do not use humor like in my posts and stuff. I'd love to work more humor into what I do. But I did use some humor. I did use some humor in a presentation for another LinkedIn Live that I do. It was the first LinkedIn Live, and something kind of funny had happened before, and I thought, this will be funny. I couldn't tell whether it went over, but basically what I did was I was explaining how I had this idea. And I said that I had captured a picture of myself at the moment the idea had formed. And then I showed a picture of me with the at the moment that I had captured it. And here I'll just share it so you can see. Now you can show that guy. That was me at the moment. This was like maybe one of the few times I've used humor. That's me. I had accidentally taken a picture of myself with my camera, and I thought, this is actually kind of funny. And I used that in my presentation. So anyway.
But I think part of this is about identifying what humor is. So unfortunately, we don't know who said this, but this is the first person that said no. It is not appropriate.
And it came out as LinkedIn user, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you wrote that, could you type in your name or something? Because
I want to know you, humorless bloke.
the best retort to that is that we worked with this particular company a few years ago, Telstra, and one of the guys has just done a post. He has moved now to Devon, and he travels in from Devon, which is quite a long journey, to London once a week. And Devon is where Penguin Books were formed. And the guy that founded Penguin Books had a bookstall, I believe, on Exeter Station platform. And this guy we worked with, Daniel Rendell, did a post about a vending machine. So this morning he sent me. Let me see this. So this is the post that he did last week. He's had 30,500 likes and over 2 million impressions.
Wow.
Of this, which is staggering, isn't it? Absolutely staggering. So every time somebody,
I'm looking at the message.
I do like Maddie's sense of language.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You probably don't want to show that again.
Oh dear. I apologize. I couldn't see that I was sharing something more than that. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
This is a good show.
Apologies about that.
Well, there go our ratings.
Yeah. Well, it's all humour, isn't it? It's all good humour.
Yes, Google. Yes, YouTube. This has.
Yes, apologies about that.
Anybody else got any more content?
Yeah, I do actually. I've just found the piece of content. Let me just try and share my
Sick.
screen. 2 seconds, and I'm just trying to find it now.
There's another LinkedIn, whilst Jensen's looking for that, another LinkedIn user's comment. I hate those people who knock on your door and say you need to get saved or you'll burn. It reminded me of a
Stupid fireman.
Stupid fireman. But you get those messages, don't you? Where those prospect cold messages. You need my services, otherwise you won't be alive next week.
It is the Jurassic Coast.
Here, so this is the piece of content that I found. Did you want me to read it out, or are you guys able to read?
No. There we are.
Sure.
So we find.
Let me know once you've read number 11, and I'll scroll down.
Yeah, go on.
Ooh.
And then the final piece of content. Can you now see my new tab?
No,
Not yet.
you
You've come
have
back
to
into the
share. And then
Share the new tab.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, you got to read the one on the right first.
What's that here?
Sales breakup emails really feel like the end of a teenage rom-com.
Yeah.
And then that.
Yeah, and then can you read that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, too funny. It's so weird when you get those. It's just so weird.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? Because it's almost as if people feel that you are under some sort of obligation to listen to their sales pitch.
Yeah.
I had now bear in mind that was it last week or the week before we were talking about generating conversations, and Jordan was talking about how on average he has 20 conversations a week with new prospects. So I had an email from somebody or a message on LinkedIn from somebody today saying we're extremely good at this. You know, we guarantee to deliver you 5 new business meetings a week. So needless to say, I just cut and pasted the link to Jordan's most recent post about it and said, here you are, have a look at this. It's just unbelievable that people do so little in terms of due diligence before outreaching, isn't it?
It's remarkable. You'll love this, guys. This is hilarious. Yesterday, I get an email. Are you getting business from social media?
Out of Lenwood, is that what, from someone who's got 500 connections?
I didn't even go any further. I just laughed. I just sat there. I immediately thought of Tim and Adam. and I said, this person is definitely not appreciating the irony of this.
I got one the other day that said, "Have you thought about starting a podcast?"
Yeah.
Just
You know
to
what it
finish on
is? It's a
serious note,
manipulation, Leah. She said some of them love to bully you. You know, it's a manipulation when people say, "Oh, it's gonna be a breakup. You'll never hear from me again." I hope I don't. But you know, but that's what it is. It's a manipulation. They're trying to manipulate you into responding.
I've been on a course. There'll be some course out there that there's manipulative email marketing or something.
Oh yeah, people buy FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, and the takeaway, sure.
But those tactics are increasingly less. I mean, increasingly less effective. But yeah, they're less effective.
I don't know. You read them, and you're talking about them, so it must make an impact, right? That's good for business.
Well, they didn't get a deal.
Right. Wait, how are we measuring ROI?
Yeah. Open rate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just on the laughter side, because Mike's going. So I put in my kind of link. Mike shared an article with me all about the value of laughter in the business, and so did another colleague, Clarice Garlot. So hers is an HBR article. So if you want to have a look through my link to this event, you'll find some of the science to go behind what we've been talking about.
Perfect.
So before we wrap up on that, one of the things that keeps coming up for me is the intention behind the humor, right? So sometimes people use it to break the ice. Sometimes people use it to make themselves more comfortable. Sometimes people use it because they think they have to use it, right? I think there is an interesting, even in all of the examples we've looked at here today, if we had an intention with the humor to make people feel more comfortable, and our humor made people feel more comfortable, then hey, high five, good job. If our intention was to make people feel more comfortable and we made people uncomfortable because it's the wrong audience or for a variety of reasons, then maybe we'll look at that. So I think that there's an important intention piece that comes into play when we're talking about humor. Are you using it? What are you using it for? Why are you trying to make something funny?
That's a really good point, Tracy.
Very good.
So, Rob, you were keeping score at one point. How many comments have we had?
Oh, I wasn't keeping score. Restream was just kind enough to let us know we achieved a new record.
Oh, right. Okay.
We've had over 100 comments at our halfway mark.
Yeah.
So this has been by far the most interactive episode of the Digital Download.
It certainly has. And I mean, we've just had some fantastic input from the audience. Thank you all so much for that. Absolutely brilliant.
And I think interesting point, because I know for me, I have something I do right after. So I'm always kind of watching the clock to see where we are. And today, the first time I looked at the clock was 45 minutes in. And I think this is one of the things that we don't really think about when we're having fun in a conversation. So whether you define it as humor or you just enjoy being in a space, that's when time flies. And whether you're doing a job, and this is something that Jordan spoke about too last week with I have fun at work. So the time just flies, right? The time just flies in this conversation because, well, I had fun. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but yeah. I had fun today. And I think that is why humor has a place in the workplace.
Quite right.
So,
and why you keep coming back,
as Leah says.
Yeah. So humor definitely wins. So that's it for the week, and we haven't got one next week because it's Good Friday next week. So 2 weeks' time we'll be back, same time, same place, same crew or part thereof. So thank you everybody on the panel. Thank you everybody in the audience. Fantastic input. Goodbye until the next time from the Digital Download, which is, what is it, Rob?
The longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live.
See you next time.